Welcome back to Magnanimous, where big ideas meet bold conversations. We tackle the crossroads of tech, politics, religion, challenging perspectives, sparking dialogue, and finding common ground in a divided world. Okay, well, let's get started. Finally, we've got all of our angles set up here, which is fantastic. So now we finally got everything to where we can bring in guests minus the microphone. We still haven't got that yet. I still need to order it. Just haven't had time to do it. But yeah, anyway, welcome in. And we have a non-tech related podcast today. Today is all about politics. And just going to give you that heads up in case you don't care about politics. So yeah. All right, let's just dive straight into this thing because it has been an eventful week. Donald Trump's first week in office, and he is off to the races. So let's just start with executive actions and pardons. So Donald Trump, as of right now, he has signed a bunch of executive orders, but there are a few that I want to touch on. And so far, I am in agreement with most of these because the path that this country was on prior to his inauguration and his presidency, should I say, not a good path for this country. So yeah, so he signed way more executive orders than surpassing previous records. He also revoked a lot of the previous administration's executive orders, which day one did that. Anyway, the first one, which was a great one to start with. Which he started with a bunch of them, but he started with this one, which was he declared a national emergency on immigration, and I guess it would be migration, but leading to an increased deployment of troops. I think it was last time I had checked, over 1,500 troops had been deployed to the U.S.-Mexico border, and that led to stricter immigration enforcement. Yeah, he's off to the races on the border. He was not messing around. He campaigned on the border and shutting it down and deporting potentially dangerous people back to their home country, which is great. That is one of his first executive orders, and I am fully backing the man on this one. The second one, which a lot of people are up in arms about, and I am in agreement with this one as well, which is birthright citizenship. Now, before I even dive into this, birthright citizenship in the U.S., we are the only country in the entire world that does this. The only one. Please explain to me why. It's very obvious that there's a reason they're trying to bring all these migrants into this country, and it's just causing chaos. And Donald Trump is wise enough to see it, and he just he's shutting it down. So he is getting some backlash. He's got a judge signed a order that trying to block him, but I don't look for it to hold up. He's probably gonna get it. It may take a little bit of time to get it, but he's gonna get it. So yeah, birthright citizenship should be ending. And then before we move on with the rest of this topic on executive orders, when I was recording episode 2, TikTok had been banned and then it was unbanned. I think it was a political stunt, in my opinion. I think that it was done intentionally to try to get the younger generation on board more, if that makes sense. Because you got to think the people that are using TikTok primarily, they are the younger generation, and the younger generation, are all about, thank you, Trump, for doing this, blah, 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 which I don't think he can technically stop the ban because it's being sold. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, moving on from that, just wanted to update you on the TikTok thing. We probably already know, but either way, moving on. Internal withdrawal. So he withdrew, which I agree with these again. He withdrew America from the WHO, the World. I will get it out. The World Health oh my word. Words are hard today. The World Health Organization. So he pulled out of that, and the Paris Climate Agreement. Now, this is going to save the U.S. I think Donald Trump said somewhere around $500 million is how much they were sending to the WHO, which is just, that is staggering to understand. That's a lot of money. Now, I don't know how much money he's going to be saving from pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement, but you know what? I'm sure we're saving some money, and I'm in agreement. It needed to be done. I don't know why we've sent so much money. Again, we're one of the only countries. We are the largest contributor to the WHO. Why are we sending money, a bunch of money? I mean, they tried to get him to agree to like 37 million, I think it was, and still a staggering number. No, bring the money back into the country. That is what he's doing. He's bringing the money that is being spent on mindless, crazy, foolish things that don't make sense. He's bringing it back into the country, and he's using the money, I hope. For now, we're still only, like I said, a week into his administration, and I hope he's doing it for the right reasons. Now, I do have one thing that I am not happy with that he recently did, and I will go into that here in a little while. So far, I'm in agreement with like 90%, 99% of what he has done so far in his first week of office, but this one thing is not setting well with me because I just don't. It doesn't make sense because he campaigned differently. So he pulled out of the World Health Organization, and he's also pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement. Again, great moves. So he has this next one is going to probably trigger some people, and I expect it. Don't care either way. He has suspended the diversity, equity, and inclusion programs funded by the federal government. I'm going to put some numbers on this. Now, I couldn't find any like definitive numbers, but I'm going to put some numbers on this either way. So it's saving the country potentially billions of dollars. That was a lot of money. He also, touching on the same thing here, he placed those staff on leave, and then he also reinstated the death penalty because for some reason, as the Biden administration was leaving, he decided to turn it off. I don't quite understand it. Capital punishment. I believe in capital punishment. So, so death penalty was reinstated, and then he placed the anti-discrimination staff on leave until I think it was the end of February or something like that. So they're on paid leave. By the end of February, they have to be dissolved. So saving the country a lot more money there. Okay, so here's what I could find as some potential numbers for how much money this DEI pullout he's doing from the federal government. There is a report by Goldwater Institute that states that taxpayer and undergrad students collectively fund DEI courses and mandates at public universities to the tune of nearly $2 billion. Now, this is, like I said, from Goldwater. $2 billion every 4 years. That's a lot of money. That's a ton of money. Okay, so let's move into the corporate sector because there's really we won't know the actual numbers of how much it's actually saving the U.S. taxpayers on by pulling out of the DEI. But in 2013, corporations spent around $8 billion annually on diversity, equity, and inclusion. By 2020, the global diversity and inclusion market was valued around $7.5 billion, still staggering numbers. And it is nuts. Now, they were saying, there were projections, should I say, that said that towards the year 2027, there would be a growth to about $17.2 billion. Amazing numbers. So Donald Trump just threw a wrench into that one. And it's not going over well with the Democratic Party right now. They are at a loss of words. I feel like, but they're not happy, and he is on track, getting the country back on track and reversing a lot of the previous administration's policies. Now, I'm sure everybody's already seen it, but I'm going to show you one of the ICE raids that just happened and how these illegal migrants are illegal aliens, I think, because they just reinstated that now. So it's illegal aliens again. So these illegal aliens, I mean, he was putting up a fight. He's like, oh, thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you, President Obama, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going back to, well, he Ecuador, I think is where he said, I'm going, I don't remember, I'll play it either way. But I'm not going back. Well, sir, you went back. So
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
There's that. Anyway, moving on. Let us look at another very controversial topic that he touched on, which is amazing. He signed an executive order on the 20th, so first day in. He signed in an executive order recognizing only two genders, male and female. That is amazing because there are only two genders, male, female. If you don't agree with that, well, you're wrong. Sorry. He granted full and unconditional pardons to, that was, sorry, I'm skipping ahead here. But anyway, he recognized the two genders and requiring federal documents to reflect this binary classification, which is great. It's awesome. Now, I want to touch on one thing that the previous administration did, which they accused him of, and I'll play some clips right here for you to see, but they accused him of...
President Trump is reportedly considering a wave of preemptive pardons. Does this concern you? All these preemptive pardons?
Well, it concerns me in terms of what kind of precedent it sets and how the rest of the world looks at us as a nation of laws and justice. You're not going to see in our administration that kind of approach to pardons, nor are you going to see in our administration the approach to making policy by tweets. It's just going to be a totally different way in which we approach the justice system.
Now that you've seen that, they accused Donald Trump of pardoning himself and pardoning his family prior to him leaving, which could have been a ruse in trying to get him to not do it, because Donald Trump has like this, he's like a, kind of explain it like a 4D chess player, you know what I mean? Like he's like, if they tell him that he's going to do this, he's going to do the opposite kind of a fella. But so anyway, he didn't pardon himself. And of course we saw 4 years of just pure slander, pure trash, trying to throw him under the bus, trying to say he's just, Satan incarnate, basically. And that did not bode well for them, because this man was like a UFC fighter. Like, I mean, you hit him, he would go down and come back up swinging. Like, I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Now, personally, I'm under the belief that the man was spared. And now he said this in his speech. He said that he believes God spared him for this exact moment in time, which is just fantastic. I think that is the case. I mean, if you're tapped into the spiritual realm, yes, I think that is what happened. Now, like I had mentioned earlier, a few things that he is doing, they're very questionable, okay? Very questionable, and I don't necessarily agree with all of it. So we'll touch on that in a minute, but I wanted to just show the blatant hypocrisy of the Biden administration. Just blatantly hypocrisy. Nobody's saying anything. None of the Democrats are defending it. Nobody's saying a word. Of course, they're all about how J6ers got, how they got pardoned and blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing. When Biden was on his way out the door, he literally pardoned the January 6th committee. Why? If you're not guilty, why did you pardon them? Sorry. If you're not guilty, why did you pardon them? Why did he pardon them? He pardoned Fauci. There was just a bunch of them. He also pardoned his family members, one of which we already knew about, and that one was Hunter Biden. But not only did he pardon him, but he pardoned him all the way back between January 1st of 2014. And if you know anything about Burisma, that's probably going to get this, took down. Who knows? I don't even care. But that covers everything he could have possibly done all the way through, from 2014 to 2024. But Donald Trump's the bad guy. Yeah, I'm totally buying that. And then he also pardoned, besides, the ones that we all know about, he pardoned his brother James, Francis Biden, and his sister Valerie Biden Owens. For what? Just going to leave that there. The last thing that I want to talk about, this is the thing that I am not exactly enthused with from Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump campaigned on anti-war. If I was president, then I would have never started this war. We wouldn't be in this war, blah, 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 right? We all heard that. And here's the part that, and my issue with this is he issued a, let me find it. Okay. So yeah, Russia had threatened, or Trump had threatened Russia, should I say. And why? Why, Mr. President? Why are you threatening Russia? You say you want to pull out of the war, but yet you're threatening Russia with more sanctions, and trying to reach this deal with Ukraine and shut it down. Why are you poking the bear? Literally poking the bear. I mean, why is it that Donald Trump is poking the bear and he is threatening Russia with more tariffs, and rather than trying to negotiate a deal and shut this thing down and just get it over with, right? But no, he makes a threat. And I don't know who is whispering in Donald Trump's ear at the White House, or if it's his staff or whoever it is. I don't know, but I will touch on that. Let me completely give you the whole context here, because I think that there is going to come ramifications for this. Something could happen. I don't know if anything's going to happen, let's just say, but I'm just like, I'm dot connecting here. So he threatens Russia, and you hear nothing from the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. And eventually, days later, Vladimir finally responds, and how he responds is like, again, I use this analogy with Donald Trump and how he's like a 4D chess player, and it's quite an amazing thing to see. I mean, the dude is a brilliant businessman. Side story, we'll touch on more of him, as things progress, but you've got Donald Trump that is legit, like a 4D chess player, and then you've got President Putin. Now, most people, probably because they've been watching too much news, don't like Russia. That's fine. But that man is also a 4D chess player, because what he did is just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Now, I'm an American first. I'm not in support of any other country but our own country. But it is just amazing to see, because I'm always analyzing things from a biblical perspective. Read the Old Testament. Even the most godly of people were thrown into captivity at some point. You know what I'm saying? If you're familiar with the Fourth Turning or any of that, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But the amazing part is what he responded, which is Vladimir Putin responded by saying, yeah, the 2020 election was stolen from you, Mr. President, and he's in a complete agreement with it. Now, here's why I think Vlad did this. I think it's just brilliant what he did here. So what he's going to wind up doing is you're going to have the media come at Mr. Trump and say, hey, do you agree with Vladimir Putin on what he said about, the election being stolen, which Donald Trump did say that the election is stolen. That's no mystery there. Okay, no mystery at all. However, it's going to spark, I figured it would have already, but I figured it would spark some questions from the news and saying, oh yeah, do you agree with Russia, blah, blah, blah. We may see that this coming week. So the recording of this episode is the 26th, Sunday the 26th. I always record on Sunday, release on Monday, but we may see that coming next week. And I think the reason why he did it, trying to get the news to ask these questions, is they're going to try to call him a Russian stooge, right? And say, oh yeah, you're in with Russia, blah, blah, blah. But we've also seen like a very mellow Democratic Party here since he took office. Like, I think they're speechless. I mean, he just spoke at Davos. Amazing speech at Davos. Go watch that. I highly encourage it. And he's already made a trip over to South Carolina, promising to help them, or North Carolina, should I say? I don't know why I keep saying South Carolina, but anyway, North Carolina. And then he's went over to California. And did y'all see how he ripped the Democrat or the mayor over there? I mean, just absolutely. They're not used to being challenged. The previous administration was just asleep at the wheel, and this man is coming in hard. Like he is giving it to him. So yeah, that's my think, is that the news media is probably going to wind up asking the questions about Russia, and yeah, that could be the case. I don't know if that's actually what's going to be, what's going to play out here. But if Russia does actually wind up, pulling the trigger, and they said they've threatened to nuke, countries and shut them down and give responses and all that great jazz. But I think if they do wind up responding, and let's say use some of their covert secret weapons, like maybe the Poseidon weapon or something like that, they could put England underwater, and then you've got a whole ball of wax there, and this war is off to the races, so to speak. Personally, some of the other big names out there in the podcast world, they they are in agreement with me on this specific thing, which is I don't think that the war is actually going to be until probably the late 2020s, early 2030s. That's probably going to be when the big war happens. Yeah, so we'll see what actually transpires, and I think Donald Trump is off to a great start. It's amazing to see this man back in power and actually doing what he said he's going to do. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you today. That is going to be the end of this podcast. Yeah, and let me know what you think. I need to add that next microphone over there, and then eventually we're going to bring in guests. We're going to have guests talk about business. I'm going to have hopefully some of my colleagues in the media production world come in here, talk about some of that, talk about tech, talk about politics. So each and every episode is going to be a touch different from the previous. And yeah, it is off to the races. This is our third episode. We'll just keep the ball rolling. I plan on continuing this thing indefinitely. And yeah, I'm I'm grateful to see the people that are watching. I appreciate you. I see you. And drop me a comment. Let me know if you are seeing, where you're from, and what you would like to see in future episodes. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next podcast.